A year ago this month, Danielle Outlaw was sworn in as the first African-American woman to lead the Philadelphia Police Department. Tonight, Commissioner Outlaw tells me navigating this new role in a new city in 2020 taught her a number of things and reminded her to never stop fighting for the people she serves and the officers she leads.
Leading the country's fourth largest police department, Danielle Outlaw knew stepping into the role of commissioner would be challenging. In her first year, Outlaw dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic, protests, and riots.
It's a gut punch. When we take these positions, not only are we responsible for the well-being and safety of our employees, but, it's for the community as well.
As of February 3rd, there were 51 murders in Philadelphia compared to 38 this time last year.
I personally feel responsible for the safety of others. It further incentivizes and motivates all of us working to try to not just reduce these numbers, but to eradicate it. It's tough. It's tough.
Your officers catch a suspect, and days later, they are back on the streets. If I'm a police officer in your department, what is the incentive to risk my life to catch a criminal if there's a disconnect between the department and the DA's office?
Our officers are frustrated. They put themselves on the line. They put their own well-being at risk. To see someone who you might have even had to tussle with right back out there on the street, it can be quite deflating, quite frankly.
Following the protests and riots in Philly last year, the city controller said last week that there was a lack of leadership at the highest level. Aside from being understaffed, what would you have done differently?
Hindsight is perfect, right? If I were to look back, I would say, I would have done what we do now, put a plan in motion, even though there wasn't any specific intelligence relative to Philadelphia or surrounding areas, because we now know we have to operate in that world.
How do you hope to restore trust in policing in Philadelphia?
It's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift. Whenever we feel like we take few steps forward, all it takes is one incident and it feels like we're knocked 20 steps backward. Folks are tired of talk and rhetoric and meetings and ideologies and theories, and they want to see action. I want to see action.
Amid these calls to defund the police, what does that mean when you hear that?
At first it was extremely insulting, flat out insulting. But now that I have a little bit more understanding of where some folks are going with it, I understand overall the concept. I don't agree with taking funding away from us. You have to invest in order to get the optimal level of service that everyone is expecting.
What do you say to people who are now afraid to be in this city?
We also have to, not just the police department, but as a community, have to ensure that when witnesses do come forward, that they're safe in doing so. It's generational. It's multi-generational. And until this stuff is nipped in the bud at its root causes, we're going to continue to have the same conversations, and it has to be community driven. We're all residents of the city. Yes, crime is high, but it's still our city, and I think we can take back our streets.
The commissioner tells me that she has several plans already in the works to curb crime in 2021, like focusing on domestic violence response, utilizing technology and social media to track suspects of violent crime, bolstering their narcotics bureau in the East Division, as well as creating a police district in Kensington. Yuki?